Yeah, welcome, and yeah, I hope you are enjoying SCOMathon so far. Yeah, like Richard said, I'm Merijn Overgaauw. I'm a product architect and developer at Gridmatics, which provides SCOM management packs for Citrix monitoring. But in this session, I would like to explain to you how to create any high available remote monitoring done by resource pools and by making use of the good old network discovery wizard. But don't think this will be a network monitoring session though, because it will not. It actually will be about remote monitoring in general. So yeah, basically the monitoring that we are talking about here could be anything. So let's have a look at the following topics I would like to address. First of all, what is a resource pool? Well, just a brief explanation because you probably already know what that is. And yeah, secondly, I want to explain how to create remote monitoring done by those resource pools. And then last but not least, I would like to explain how to make use of the network discovery wizard when creating that remote monitoring by resource pools. And yeah, actually, this session is all about that last topic. So what is a resource pool? Well, a resource pool is just a pool with health services or workers, I like to call them, running your monitor workflows. And those health services could be the health services from your SCOM management service or gateways, and even from your SCOM agents. However, you need to insert them by means of PowerShell only. You can only do that by means of PowerShell. But yeah, you can use SCOM agents as well. And when a worker, a health service fails, the workflows running there will just fail over to another worker. And when that one fails, the workflows running there will fail over again to another worker. So a resource pool provides high availability, and it does provide load balancing too in specific scenarios though. So yeah, I think a resource pool is a very useful feature of SCOM. But I believe it's not used that often. It should be used more often, especially to monitor your business critical applications. So how do you create remote monitoring done by resource pools? Well, what it basically comes down to is that you need to connect resource pools to your class instances from your management pack project that you are creating. And bear in mind that they must be unhosted. That's required. So in other words, you need to discover pool to unhosted class instance relationships or relationship instances. And yeah, once you have established those connections with your class instances, the workflows targeted against those class instances will be managed by this resource pool, which means that those workflows will run on one or more workers inside the resource pool. So what about connecting the well-known all management server resource pool to your class instances? Well, actually, you don't have to do anything. They are connected by default already. So once you have discovered your unhosted class instances, they are being managed by this resource pool. So, well, easy, right? Easy setup. So maybe we can end this session. But yeah, actually, no, because there are some major drawbacks using this resource pool. For instance, you don't get much worker control. And what does that mean? Well, that means that, this resource pool, this all management server resource pool, is running all kinds of SCOM platform specific workflows just to make the platform work. It does, for instance, the health rollups for your distributed applications. And it does Harvey polling. So you don't want to mess up its memberships too much, just for your own workflows from your management project. And because it's only one resource pool residing in your trusted domain environment, it doesn't have access to non-trusted domain environments, per definition, and not remotely at least. So that means you don't get non-trusted domain support. So those are two drawbacks. But what about creating and connecting dedicated custom resource pools to your class instances? You can create a dedicated resource pool for each environment that you want to remote monitor. And for each resource pool, you can fully decide what workers will be in there. So you will get full worker control. Good. And let's say that this is a non-trusted domain environment. And these class instances represent objects from that non-trusted domain environment. Then you can just put some workers inside this resource pool that are from that non-trusted domain environment. And they have access to the objects these class instances represent. So you will get non-trusted domain support now. However, there's still a drawback because it's rather complex to connect those pools to those environments that you want to monitor, to the class instances that are from those environments. And I will explain what it implies. What does it come down to? Basically, you have to create a class for each resource pool that you want to create and base it on the management service pool class. And you also need to create a discovery that discovers a management service pool watcher instance for each resource pool that you create. And furthermore, obviously, you need to create a discovery that connects your class instances to a particular resource pool. And you have to create a membership rule as well to select the correct class instances from that particular environment that you want to remote monitor by this resource pool. So as you can see, it's rather complex. This is something a SCOM management pack developer would do. And I don't like that, because I think you should always create a management pack that once it has been finished, then everybody should be able to configure that management pack to add more objects to it to monitor. And in this case, more environments that you want to remote monitor. So I thought there should be a better way, a much easier way. And I found one. I've made one up by using the good old network discovery wizard to connect those resource pools to class instances. So how does that work? Just want to explain the concept here. You need to create a resource pool. you can do that in your SCOM console. Go to the admin pane and you can do it. You can create as many as you like, put workers in it, health services. And you need to create a network discovery rule using the network discovery wizard to discover a network device. But I call this a dummy network device because it really doesn't matter what device I discover here. It can be anything. It needs to ping back. That's all. So yeah, choose anything you like, doesn't matter. And I also don't want to monitor this device. I only discover this device because of its relationship with this resource pool. Because workflows that would be targeted against this device will be managed by this resource pool. Oh, go back. But also the workflows that are targeted against any class instances that are hosted either directly or indirectly by this dummy network device. So now I only need to create a solution, a management pack solution that does this, that connects my class instances from my management project to this dummy network device. And it should be a solution that does that based on a configuration file, like a CSV file or a XML file, doesn't matter. Because then you only have to create a resource pool just by means of your SCOM console in the admin pane. And you need to configure that resource pool in a network discovery rule you have to create. And with that discovery rule, you will discover that dummy device, which I will call a root object device now from now on, because it holds my child objects. And once discovered, I can use that root object, that dummy network device, in a config file to connect it to my child instances. And when I target any workflows to my child instances, to these ones, if I do it to these ones, these two, the last two, then they will be managed by the same resource pool that is managing this dummy network device. So how do you build such a solution? I don't want to go into very much detail here. I just want to explain how I did it. There are several ways, I suppose. This is the way I did it. And I want to explain it on concept level. So what I did, I created a class, a root object class, based it on the network management node class. And the network management.node class is a non-abstract class, which means you can discover instances for that class. And actually, my root object device, that dummy network device, is an instance of this class. But I wanted to have my own class too, using the same key property of the network management.node class. And of course, I created a child object class, so I can target my monitor workflows against that class. And I base it on the application component class, which is an abstract class. Yeah, you can choose other classes to base on. Just make sure it's not hosted, because you have to create a hosting relationship over here between your root object and the child object. So yeah, and of course you need to create a discovery, and I used a PowerShell discovery workflow And as you can see, I'm discovering the root object instances here. I've just by importing the CSV file first, gives me information in the script. Here I discover the root objects using the key property of the network management.node class. And then here I'm discovering my child objects using its own key property, but also the key property of my root object class, which is actually the network management.node class key property. So to sum things up, creating remote monitoring using custom dedicated resource pools and using the network discovery wizard together with a solution that connects your class instances to a dummy network device will make it very easy to connect those pools to those class instances from your management pack project now. And everybody can do it. Every time you need to onboard a new environment to remote monitor, not only your SCOM management pack developer. And of course, you get non-trusted domain support and full worker control. Yeah, and well, once you have that, then it looks like this. Here you can see a resource pool connected to a tree of objects here as well. This is a root object, that dummy network device, and these are some child objects. And you can see this is a domain called gridmatics.com. It's a trusted domain, and therefore I've put workers in it from that trusted domain. Well, this is a resource pool for a non-trusted domain environment, so I had to put workers from that non-trusted domain environment in there. And as you can see, you can also use agents inside that pool, besides SCOM management servers and gateways. Make sure though that when it concerns a non-trusted domain environment you're creating a resource pool for, you need at least 3 workers in that resource pool. It's just how SCOM works, otherwise no high availability. And yeah, once you have this, you can target your monitor workflows against those child instances. And I targeted a PowerShell workflow, a PowerShell monitor workflow against those instances in this example. And in this case, it's a PowerShell script that creates this piece of code on this target, which I derive from a property from my child object. So that piece of code will run over there in this case, all by means of the invoke commandlet, PowerShell command. Also, you need to make sure, especially when you are creating remote monitoring for non-trusted domain environments, that you create a RNS profile like this. So you can add it to any monitor workflow. And then you can do this. You can configure your RNS profile using RNS accounts. So here you can see this is a SCOM RNS account from a non-trusted domain environment, and it's connected to this dummy device, this root object. And this way, that RNS account will be used for any workflow that is targeted to this root object, this dummy network device. But it is also used for all child objects that are hosted by this root object, this dummy device. So that's how SCOM works. And this way you can control which René's account will be used where. Yeah, and the end result will be something like this. So as you saw on one of the previous slides, I created a CPU utilization monitor, and I also created a performance rule. And yeah, here you can see the child objects, the names, the targets. So this is where the code that I showed you is going to run. And you can also see here that you can also see which child objects are connected to a particular root object, that dummy device. So yeah, this concludes my session. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.